Hey guys, welcome back to another Clash Royale video, and today we have the official announcement of the next round of balance changes coming to Clash Royale. The April balance update will be coming out on Monday, April the 1st, and there are a total of 6 cards being changed in the next balance update. The first change is a buff to the Witch, who will now spawn 3 skeletons when she is destroyed. Similar to how the Night Witch spawns a couple of bats when she goes down, the Witch will spawn 3 skeletons when she goes down as well. The second card being changed is a nerf to the Flying Machine, who will have a slightly slower attack speed. Attack speed going from 1 second to 1.1 second, so just a very minor decrease to the rate of fire for the Flying Machine. The third change here is a nerf to the Ram Rider, and as predicted guys, the snare of the Ram Rider is being nerfed. This is a pretty interesting change. The snare is going from a 100% movement reduction to an 85% movement reduction. So no longer will the Ram Rider snare immobilize a target completely. It'll just move really, really slow. Think like an Ice Wizard, but a lot slower. So the target, like whatever the Ram Rider hits, will no longer stand still. It'll just move really, really slow. 100% reduction to 85%. The fourth card being changed in the next balance update is a buff to the Giant Skeleton, who will now have a faster first attack, as well as an increase to the weight of the card, which what that means is it'll be harder to push the Giant Skeleton, which on defense is good because it'll be better for blocking troops. The fifth card here, guys, being changed in the next balance update is a nerf for the Bandit, who's getting a 4% health decrease. And finally, the sixth and last card being changed is a buff for the Spirit Goblin HUD, who's getting a slightly faster spawn speed for those Spirit Goblins, going from 4.75 seconds to 4.5 seconds, which overall means a Spirit Goblin HUD that is untouched will now spawn 12 Spirit Goblins in total versus 11 previously. But that is it, guys. That is the total balance update coming out in April. 6 cards being changed in total: a buff for the Witch, a nerf for the Flying Machine, a nerf for the Ram Rider, a buff for the Giant Skeleton, a nerf for the Bandit, and a buff for the Spirit Goblin HUD. So with that being said, guys, go ahead right now. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of this next balance update? Are you happy with it? Are you unhappy? Were you hoping for more? What is your initial impression to these 6 cards being changed in the April balance update? In my opinion here, I think some of these changes are really, really good changes, but overall, I gotta be honest with you guys, I was kind of hoping for more. There are only 6 cards being changed in this balance update, and I just kind of feel like there's a long list of cards in the game that are kind of like overdue for a change. Things like the Bomber or the Dark Prince, or, you know, etc., etc. Why not throw in 2 extra cards that are overdue for a change? But anyways, let's just go ahead here and dissect each change individually, and then we'll kind of talk about the cards I feel like were missed. The Witch change, now spawning 3 skeletons when she is destroyed. I am a huge fan of this change. I think it's awesome. The Witch is a really kind of cool card that has never really ever had a chance in the meta. She wasn't really used ever in any decks, any 20-win challenge. She isn't really good competitively. So I think this change is definitely an interesting one, and I'm definitely a fan of it. Same thing with the Flying Machine change. Definitely okay with that one. It's almost exactly as I had expected the change to be when I heard the Flying Machine would be changed in the next balance update. But the Ram Rider, this one is really interesting in my opinion, because the Ram Rider was a cool legendary card with a very unique effect with that immobilize on her attack. But now she's just another card that has a slow, right? She's basically like a beefed up Ice Wizard that doesn't have splash attack, right? The Ice Wizard slows, the Ram Rider will slow a lot slower than the Ice Wizard slows, but it's still a slow. Like previously, if you used a Ram Rider, and if your opponent like used a mini P.E.K.K.A, you know, too far away, the Ram Rider would stop that mini P.E.K.K.A from moving. But now the mini P.E.K.K.A will slowly inch towards the Ram Rider and attack her faster. I just don't really think, like, on offense, she doesn't really have too much health or deal, like, too much damage for a 5 elixir card. So I gotta be honest with you guys, I am a little bit worried that the Ram Rider might be dead after this change. I know I'm usually wrong on these kind of predictions, but you know, on offense, for example, like as mentioned before, that Ram Rider, like, she doesn't have too much health. Normally she gets like 1 charge, like maybe 1 extra hit if your opponent defends properly. And having that, like, that slow instead of the complete immobilize means that their defensive troops will be able to move into range and attack your Ram Rider. So I gotta be honest, guys, I'm a little bit concerned, mostly because I feel like the Ram Rider is a really cool card, and I was kind of happy having her in the meta. Like, she was a different, unique card that introduced a new mechanic into the game, and I was happy having that in the game. It freshened it up for me. So, you know, be honest, guys, I'm a little bit concerned with the Ram Rider. On defense, however, you know, previously you could use that Ram Rider to stop a balloon, for example. Now, the balloon will still slowly move towards the tower. So it's definitely an interesting change. Just not what I had predicted. I think I would have preferred having the overall snare duration being reduced, but still have it be a 100% immobilize versus just being a really, really heavy slow. And to be honest, guys, like, her win rates weren't really too crazy. Whenever I checked online on Royale API, they were usually around like 46, 47, or 48% win rate. Now, obviously, these stats on these websites aren't 100% reliable, so they could be a lot different than that. But usually when I checked, they weren't crazy. There weren't any red flags to me that said that the Ram Rider was overpowered and needed a nerf. So I'm kind of just surprised overall to see a nerf for the Ram Rider. I would have kind of preferred maybe a lateral change where they nerfed her snare, but maybe buffed her on offense with health or damage. Now, the Giant Skeleton change, guys, I'm definitely a fan of. You guys know that I really enjoy using the Giant Skeleton card. It is such a fun, like, anti-meta strategy. So any kind of buff for that Giant Skeleton, I am definitely in favor of. I don't think it'll be enough to bring the Giant Skeleton into the meta, which was probably a good thing because it is a super defensive card that really slows down gameplay and leads to a lot of draws. So maybe a good thing if it doesn't ever really come truly into the meta, but definitely a fan of this buff as well. Same thing with the Bandit nerf. You guys know on my balance change wish list that I did a couple days ago, the Bandit nerf was on my wish list, so definitely okay seeing this change. I would have personally preferred they didn't nerf the health though, and I would have preferred they nerfed how fast she dashes. Kind of similar to their reason why they nerfed the Magic Archer way back a couple of months ago. I think back then their argument was that you never really had a chance to respond to the Magic Archer. It locked on so fast and did damage so fast. The Bandit is the exact same thing. It locks on so fast and dashes so fast, you don't really have much time to respond to it. So I would prefer they didn't nerf the health, but instead made her charge like 0.3 seconds longer before she dashed. And then obviously the final change is the Goblin Hut. This one is super strange to me. Now, it could be wrong, but it kind of just feels like with the Goblin Hut, like it's always spawning faster, spawning slower, spawning faster, spawning slower. It's no secret that the Goblin Hut isn't in the meta right now. It's one of the lowest used cards in the game, so it's definitely due for a buff, but I'm kind of surprised to see it here on the list. So those are my opinions, guys, on these 6 cards that were changed in the balance update. Let's go ahead and take a look at cards that were not changed. You guys know on my balance wish list a couple days ago, there was a bunch of cards like down here near the bottom of, you know, the list in terms of being viable competitively. And I feel like if they had only 6 cards in the list, why not throw in, you know, a Wall Breaker buff or a Bomber buff or the Elite Barbarians or the Dark Prince or the Cannon card, for example. A lot of these cards haven't really been like doing too well in the meta for a while. So, you know, why not throw them in there as well and give some love to some other cards as well. Even the Royal Recruits, I feel like, could use a small buff as well. Maybe like a 2% damage buff or something like that. But, you know, guys, overall, that is my opinion of the balance update. Pretty happy with it overall. I think some of the changes are very good changes. just would have hoped for more in terms of the overall quantity of cards being changed. Once again, guys, let me know what you think of the balance update down below. Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think all the changes are perfect for the game? Am I wrong? Am I a nub? All of that feedback is very important to me. Anyways, guys, that is the end of the video. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe for more Clash Royale content. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We will see you in the next one.